Welcome to the Wife Stories YouTube channel. New video every day, and don't forget to subscribe. Here we go.
I remember the warm glow of that afternoon, the way the late sun fell through the curtains and lit up the living room, and how her hand, small and delicate, rested on my shoulder as she thanked me for fixing the loose doorknob to our front entrance. It was such a trivial household task, a moment that once felt intimate in its simplicity. Me, the dependable husband, kneeling there with a screwdriver, and her, standing close, eyes full of gratitude. God, how that memory used to make me smile. Now, I can't think of it without feeling this oily disgust creeping into my throat. It's not the memory itself that's vile, but the knowledge of what she really felt underneath that pleasant mask, and how easily I bought into the lie. Even as I recall it, my hand is trembling. Not from weakness, maybe from rage held too tightly in check. The trembling comes with a hollow, jagged sort of emptiness, like my body isn't sure whether to lash out or collapse. I'm sitting in my car, half hunched over the steering wheel, the engine still purring. Clouds gather overhead, heavy and gray, threatening a rain that's somehow stuck in limbo. I glance at my watch. About 6 in the evening. This used to be the time I'd head home to Lisa, my wife of 15 years, bringing her those almond cookies she loved so much. I'm not bringing her cookies now. No, I'm parked 2 blocks away from the motel where she's meeting him. Eric. I learned his name a few weeks ago, though I guess there were hints of his presence before that. He's some kind of mid-level hotel manager from California, with a good smile and a tanned face that probably impresses women in my wife's marketing circles. A few months back, I started noticing Lisa's phone lighting up at odd hours. I'd see a name, E. Rogers, appear on the screen. She told me it was business. My gut twisted, but I tried to bury the thought. What a fool I was. At first, I stifled any jealousy or suspicion. That's what a trusting husband does, right? Reminds himself that a job in marketing means networking, building contacts, maybe the occasional after-hours event. I tried to swallow the knot in my chest, but the knot grew each time she'd come home late, complaining about project deadlines or business dinners. Then I found receipts for a motel I'd never heard of, in a part of the city we never go to, stuffed into the pocket of her coat. She must have forgotten it was there. That night, I lay in bed, wide awake, a dull roar of adrenaline surging through my veins. These last weeks have been an insane whirlwind of private investigations, confrontations, at least the ones I dared attempt, and an unsteady, simmering rage. I started missing sleep. I skipped lunches, just sitting in my office, staring out the window at the Chicago skyline, not really seeing it. I had the brilliant idea of evidence, as though proving it on paper would keep me from looking insane. So I hired lawyers and, in a moment of desperation, some jerk who claims to be a private detective, but probably has no clue beyond scanning Facebook or bribing a motel receptionist. Yet the plain truth was always right in front of me. The day I walked up to that motel, my own hands trembling, my mouth dry, and spotted her through a gap in the curtains, that was all the proof I needed. She was there in a cheap pastel-colored room with Eric, half undressed, her hair messed up in a way I'd never seen at home. I stood on the outside walkway, just one flimsy door between us, my heart pounding so hard I could barely keep from kicking it in. And in the reflection of the dusty window, I saw my own face. Ashen, eyes wide with shock, but the corners of my mouth twisted upward in this horrible, disbelieving grin. It was like my body short-circuited and didn't know how else to respond. I wish I could say I screamed or wept or something more dramatic, but all I did was stand there for maybe 30 seconds, the world spinning around me, that black humor of the moment almost making me laugh out loud. It was exactly like those awful cliches. The betrayed husband, the cheap motel, the crumpled sheets. I used to imagine these scenarios in movies, never thinking it would actually become my reality. Now, I'm looking at the motel again, but this time, I'm not creeping along the hallway. Instead, I watch from my car. The clouds overhead look like they could break at any second, and that feels right for the mood I'm in. I check my phone. No messages from her. Not that I expected any. She's got her phone on silent when she's with him. I almost want a thunderstorm. Something with enough force to match the pounding in my chest. My breath feels hot. Every inhale thick and labored, like I can't get enough air. After what seems like forever, the door of the motel room opens. Eric steps out first. He's holding some wrapped box in one hand. A present, presumably. Then Lisa follows, adjusting her hair, that same hair I once adored. For a moment, she looks up at the sky, as if sniffing the air for rain. Then she says something to Eric, leaning in close, her hand on his shoulder, just like it used to be on mine. A gift. That gift. That's what started it all, ironically enough. Lisa once brought home something identical for our neighbor, referencing some silly product sample from her marketing gig. The neighbor had the same type of packaging. I never thought twice about it. But now, seeing Eric's arms around that familiar shape of a box, I can't stop the sour taste in my mouth. I watch them walk. They separate near the parking lot. He strolls confidently to a silver sedan. She steps toward her car. She's not hurrying. She's comfortable, like a woman who feels safe. Suddenly, a memory slices through me. Lisa and I once took a trip to Lake Geneva. We laughed, we teased each other, we had that electric connection of a new marriage. And now she's out here, with her lover, calm and unhurried, as though I never even existed beyond some trivial detail. I let them drive off. There's no need for me to confront them this second. My decision has already been made. And at this stage, it's more like following a script. Sometimes in life, you realize that love can be the biggest lie of all. And once you see that, once you accept it, you feel strangely liberated. Rain finally starts to fall. Big fat drops spatter across my windshield, and I drive off slowly. Streetlights flicker on as the skies darken. I drive, not to our home, but to a cheap diner a few miles away. The place has battered vinyl seats, coffee that tastes like lukewarm water strained through used grounds, and a waitress who's probably smoked 2 packs a day for the last decade. But it's quiet enough, and that's what I need right now. Sitting there, I recall how Lisa used to say she hated the smell of cheap diners. She'd complain about the stale grease, the sticky floors. Yet here I am, feeling more comfortable than I do in our own kitchen. I order coffee, no cream, no sugar. I watch the water drip from my jacket sleeves, forming small puddles on the floor. And I feel a kind of numb clarity that almost defies logic. This is the moment, I realize, when many men either crumble or explode, or both. They drown in liquor, or they beg. Some get violent. I won't do any of that, but I can't pretend I'm untouched by it. There's a swirling sickness in my stomach, a grotesque swirl of heartbreak, hatred, pity, and even a shred of something that might be relief. Because for all the pain, at least the illusions are gone now. I'm free in the strangest possible way. When I get back home, it's nearly 8. The rain has turned into a steady downpour. As I walk up the driveway, the porch light flickers, illuminating rivulets of water streaming down my face. Everything feels slightly surreal. I open the door to find the house dark. She isn't home yet, probably picking up some groceries or, for all I know, having a post-tryst dinner with him. I set my briefcase on the kitchen table, flick on a lamp, and notice the answering machine blinking with 3 new messages. My parents, no doubt. Or maybe it's the lawyers. I hit play. Sure enough, the first message is from my mother, reminding me to call about her upcoming doctor's appointment. The second is from a telemarketer. The third is from the law firm I hired. The voice, calm and professional, says they want to confirm some details for the meeting next week. I can't help but let out a wry chuckle. This is what it all comes down to. Lawyers and phone calls. I shower. The water's warm, but I don't feel much comfort from it. My mind wanders to everything that's about to happen. I'm going to divorce her. That's certain. But more than that, I want her to face consequences. Let the lawyers bury her in enough paperwork to ruin her illusions of control. Is it revenge? Maybe. But it feels more like a moral balancing act. She crossed lines. She broke vows. And in my head, I'm telling myself that I'm simply dealing the cards she laid out. By the time I finish and change into an old t-shirt and sweatpants, I hear her car pull into the driveway. She takes her sweet time coming inside. I'm already sitting on the living room couch, arms folded across my chest, the glow from the TV painting shifting colors on the walls. She enters, keys jingling. She calls out, "John," in a cautious voice. I respond with a quiet, "Yeah," not moving from the couch. She steps into the living room, and we lock eyes. There's a moment, thick with tension, where she stands near the doorframe and stares at me, like she's gauging how much I know, or how angry I might be. She doesn't see any clear sign, because I've become very good at swallowing that rage, letting it turn into a low, humming energy inside me. "I didn't see your car in the driveway earlier," she says, making awkward small talk. I kill the TV with the remote. I was out. She takes a breath, sets her purse on the floor. "You okay?" The question sparks a bitter laugh in my gut, but I don't let it out. Instead, I say flatly, "Fine." Her eyes flick around the room, and she fidgets with the buttons on her coat. This is the same woman who used to collapse onto the couch next to me, toss her shoes off, and vent about her day at the office. Now, she's cautious, guarded. She can probably sense that something is very wrong. Good. She should. I let the silence hang there for a moment. My voice, when it comes, is ice cold. "I need to talk to you. Now." She stiffens. "About what?" I don't answer. I just stand up and walk toward our bedroom. She lingers behind, then slowly follows. When we're in the hallway, she stops in front of the closed bedroom door. I'm a few steps behind her, and I realize in a burst of raw memory that I once admired the graceful line of her back, how her waist curved, how I'd reach out and wrap an arm around her in casual affection. Now, I grip the doorframe instead, feeling my knuckles go white. "I want to talk in private," I say in a low voice. Instead of going inside, she suddenly steps into the bedroom and closes the door in my face. "I'm tired, John," she calls out. "Can we do this tomorrow?" I feel a flash of angry heat across my chest. "No." "Open the door." There's a beat of silence, then her voice, muffled. I said, "Not now." I nearly laugh. I rest my forehead against the door, inhaling slowly, fighting the surge of frustration. "Lisa, open the damn door." I say, each word pronounced carefully, with that sense of bullet-like precision. "I just can't do this tonight," she says. "Please." It's bizarre. My entire life is unraveling, and she's barricading herself in our bedroom like a teenager refusing to come downstairs for dinner. A swirl of black humor churns inside my head, and in that moment I almost find this comical. The big confrontation, the epic blowout about her affair, stymied by a locked door. I press my palm against the wood. My voice becomes menacingly calm. "Fine, but this conversation is happening, whether you want it or not." I hear her shuffling, maybe sliding down to sit on the bed or on the floor. "I don't understand," she says, but her tone is forced. I allow myself a grim chuckle. "Don't you?" Silence again. I imagine her on the other side, eyes wide, uncertain if I know everything. Maybe she's calculating her next move, or maybe she's feeling a shred of guilt. I sigh, stepping away from the door. "We'll talk tomorrow," I say, though I can't keep the edge out of my voice. "But be ready. No more running." She says nothing. I walk away, down the hallway, my footsteps echoing on the hardwood. Outside, the rain intensifies. I end up on the couch again, turning on some mindless program, trying to distract myself. But I don't really hear it. My mind keeps drifting back to that cheap motel room, to the subtle curve of her body as she leaned against Eric, to the shape of that gift box in his arms. The corners of my mouth twist again, that hideous half-smile that means I'm either about to snap or cry. Eventually, I must fall asleep, because I open my eyes to a dimly lit living room. The TV is still on, flickering softly. It's close to midnight. The house is quiet. No sound from the bedroom. She's likely asleep, or maybe she's just lying there, staring at the ceiling, as haunted by this as I am. The next morning, I wake early with a stiffness in my back that reminds me I'm not 20 anymore. The house is silent. She's either still sleeping or left early. I walk to the bedroom door. It's half open. The bed is made, something she rarely does. She's gone. Fine. That suits me, actually. I have my own preparations to set in motion. Today, I'm meeting my lawyers. The drive to the law firm takes me downtown. The clouds have cleared, the sky a bright blue that feels almost insulting after last night's gloom. The traffic is typical Chicago chaos, and I curse under my breath as I navigate. Eventually, I park and ride the elevator up to the 12th floor, stepping into a sterile, plush-carpeted waiting area. A young receptionist nods at me politely. I meet with the legal team in a glass-walled conference room. They seem efficient, poised. I present them with the documentation, the suspicious receipts, the photos I managed to gather, a statement from that so-called private detective. My lead attorney, a middle-aged woman with steely eyes, nods and flips through the papers. She glances up at me. "You're sure you want to proceed aggressively?" she asks. "We can keep it discreet if that's your preference, but it might limit the outcome." I drum my fingers on the table. "Unsure," I reply. She looks me in the eye, reading the intensity there. "We'll handle it. Expect multiple court filings, discovery demands." She may be resentful. Divorces can get ugly quickly, especially if she hires a strong lawyer. "I don't mind," I say, my voice low. "Let it get ugly." She nods. "Understood. We'll be in touch." I leave the building feeling a slight surge of adrenaline, like a runner just leaving the starting block. My heart is pounding. I inhale the crisp air. This is war, in a sense, but it's also truth, and I'm determined to see it through. I decide to go into the office after that. My boss glances at me curiously as I slip into my cubicle. He probably notices my pale face, the shadows under my eyes. He's not the type to ask personal questions. I bury myself in spreadsheets and emails for a few hours, pausing only to sip water or stare blankly out the window. Around lunchtime, my phone buzzes. It's Lisa. My pulse jumps. I answer, and her voice is subdued. "We need to talk tonight." "Agreed," I say. She hesitates, then adds, "I'm making dinner." The domestic normalcy of that statement leaves me silent for a second. Finally, I manage a curt, "Fine." Then I hang up. I have no appetite. The rest of the afternoon crawls by. I keep picturing her at home, in our kitchen, maybe chopping vegetables or setting the table, as though nothing has changed. A swirl of black humor again makes me smirk. After all this, she's making dinner. Maybe it's her last attempt to pretend. I leave the office at 5, pulling into our driveway by 5:30. Inside, the house smells of grilled chicken. There's the faint hiss of something cooking on the stove. She's in the kitchen, wearing one of her professional-looking blouses, hair pinned back. She meets my gaze, and for a moment, she almost looks relieved that I'm here. "Dinner's almost ready," she says quietly, avoiding my eyes after the initial glance. I shrug out of my jacket, hang it on a chair. "All right." We sit at the small dining table. She serves the food in silence. My appetite is non-existent, but I force a few bites. I can't decide if this is awkward politeness or if we're both just stalling. Eventually, she clears her throat. "Look," she begins, I know you're upset about something. Maybe I've neglected you. And I'm sorry, truly sorry, if I've made you feel that way." The way she's trying to paint it, as though my anger is about neglect, almost makes me laugh. Is she seriously going to pretend it's that trivial? I set my fork down carefully. Don't insult me, Lisa. I say, voice steady. I've seen you with him. That's it, right? Let's just say it. She flinches, as if slapped. Then her shoulders sag. I was going to talk to you. I didn't know how. I wash her face. Something in me feels both savage and calm. Is he your coworker? She nods slowly. He's in hospitality, but I do marketing for his chain. It started as a business friendship. Friendship, I echo, my lips curling. Right. Her cheeks flush. She looks down at her hands. I'm not proud of this, she whispers. It's not an apology. It's just a statement of fact, and it irritates me. Not proud, I repeat. But you did it anyway. She pushes her plate away, as if the sight of food disgusts her now. I'm sorry, she says finally. I don't know what else to tell you. I lean forward. Maybe start by explaining why. She takes a breath, forcing herself to meet my eyes. We've been drifting apart for years, John. You hardly talk to me about anything beyond the bills or your job. Everything is routine. Like we're just roommates. I snort. That's your justification. She trembles slightly, tears glistening. I needed excitement. I needed to feel alive. And Eric, he gave me that. But I never meant to hurt you. The irony of that statement almost chokes me. You didn't want to hurt me. So you slunk off to a motel. For how long now? Weeks? Months? Months, she admits, her voice small. I grip the edge of the table, my vision going white with anger for a moment. That's a hell of a thing to keep secret, I rasp. She closes her eyes. I was going to end it. Yeah. I say, a harsh laugh bursting out. When? She's silent. She doesn't have an answer. That's when I stand, the legs of my chair scraping across the floor, making a grating, ugly sound. You destroyed what we had. I say, barely keeping my composure. We weren't perfect, Lisa, but we had a life. And you threw it away for some cheap thrill. She looks up, tears in her eyes, but also a glimmer of defiance. Maybe you threw it away first, she says quietly. You stopped noticing me. You stopped caring about what I wanted. Funny. I could say the same about you. I snap back. There's a crack in my voice that I hate, a sign that a million emotions are about to break loose. I'm not sure which one will surface next. Heartbreak, rage, or some twisted sense of relief. Rather than letting them spill out, I swallow hard. She stands as well, trembling. John, please, let's not do this in an angry rush. We can figure something out. My laugh is dark. What's there to figure out? A beat of silence. Then she whispers, maybe we can fix this. That single sentence stuns me. Fix? She's out of her mind. But I also realize she's scared, probably seeing her comfortable life vanish. Maybe she's not ready to give up the security I provided. I step back from the table, shaking my head in disbelief. We're done, Lisa. And you know it. I've already been to my lawyers. She gasps, a small, ragged sound. Lawyers? Yes, I say, turning away from her. They'll be in touch. I'm not interested in your excuses anymore. I can almost feel the panic rolling off her. She steps around the table, reaching for me. I jerk my arm away, refusing to let her touch me. I see her face contoured with a swirl of regret and anger. You can't just. I can. I growl. And I will. She's silent, staring at me with a mixture of hatred and heartbreak. Good. Let her feel something. I walk out of the kitchen, my footsteps echoing in the hallway. Behind me, I hear her voice, strained. John. I ignore her, heading straight to the garage. My car beckons, an escape route. I climb in, slam the door shut, and back out of the driveway. I don't know where I'm going. Anywhere but here. The sky is partly cloudy, with streaks of golden sunlight. Oddly enough, it's beautiful outside, at least to someone with a clear mind. I don't. I end up driving aimlessly for a half hour, passing through neighborhoods full of neat lawns and white picket fences. My stomach churns. Is that how we looked from the outside? A neat facade, a loveless interior. I can't deny that, on some level, Lisa's complaint about drifting apart has a grain of truth. But to me, that was marriage. Life's daily routines, loyalty, comfort in each other's presence. It wasn't a reason to betray. I turn onto a quiet side road flanked by tall, leafy trees. There's a small clearing ahead, probably a public park. Parking the car under an oak tree. I kill the engine and just sit there, breathing. Then I get out, walk along a narrow path leading to a small pond. The water is calm, reflecting the sky. A few ducks float by, oblivious to my turmoil. For a moment, I close my eyes and let the wind brush my face. Is this what it means to be free? Because it doesn't feel good. It feels lonely, terrifying, like someone just pulled a rug from under my feet. Yet there's a part of me, maybe the part that's been suffocating for years, that senses a spark of possibility. I remember reading a quote once. Sometimes it's only after we're shattered that we begin to rebuild ourselves. Right now, I feel plenty shattered. Maybe there's some deeper path to follow, but for now, all I see is the next step, pushing this divorce, making sure Lisa faces the consequences. I stay at that pond for an hour or two, drifting through thoughts that shift from bitter to empty. Then, around dusk, I drive back home, bracing myself for another confrontation. But when I arrive, the house is dark, her car absent. Typical. She's probably with him, or maybe just driving around the city like I was, lost in her own storm of emotions. The next couple of weeks pass in a blur. The divorce process lurches forward with a mechanical inevitability. Lisa hires her own lawyer, but my attorneys are well paid and relentless. They file motion after motion, request after request. I see the tension on Lisa's face whenever we cross paths in the house. She starts staying out more, sometimes not coming home until after midnight, sometimes not at all. I don't bother asking where she is. We hardly speak. Maybe a cold hello or a forced, I need to pick up the mail. Meanwhile, Eric is a ghost presence in our life. I don't see him around. Maybe he's lying low or traveling for business. Part of me wonders if he's urging her to finalize the split so they can be together openly. Another part wonders if he's already backing off, realizing that a messy divorce is more trouble than he bargained for. In any case, I don't care. He's just the catalyst. Late one evening, I come home to find Lisa sitting on the living room sofa, which catches me off guard since she's rarely there now. Her eyes are puffy, and she has tissues in her hand. She's wearing pajamas, her hair messy, her makeup smudged from crying. I pause by the doorway. What's going on? I ask, the gentleness in my voice surprising me. She looks up, sniffles. He left, she says, voice cracking. For a moment, I'm confused. Then I realize who she means. Eric. She wipes her eyes, tries to compose herself. He said he couldn't handle the divorce drama. He's not returning my calls. A wave of black humor hits me so strongly I almost laugh out loud. That's it. Her lover has bailed. I guess he wasn't the shining knight she imagined after all. I press my lips together, forcing the amusement into a corner of my mind. She glances away, maybe noticing the flicker of grim satisfaction in my eyes. I'm losing everything, she whispers. I can't deny a certain satisfaction in hearing that. But beneath it all, there's a pang of pity. This is a woman I once loved. Maybe part of me still does, or at least loves who she used to be. I step further into the room, speak calmly. That's not my problem anymore, Lisa. She nods, tears slipping down her cheeks. I know. For a moment, we stand there in silence. I wonder if she's about to beg me to stop the divorce, or at least lighten the legal assault. But she doesn't. Instead, she takes a shaky breath and stands up. I'll leave soon, she says, as if reading my mind. I'm looking for another place. It might be best, I murmur. She wipes her tears with the back of her hand. You don't hate me, do you? That question stabs me in a place I didn't expect. Hate. What do I feel, exactly? I realize I can't sum it up that easily. So I sigh and say, I don't know. She nods, accepting that as her answer, then goes to her bedroom. The door clicks shut. This time, I don't pursue her, don't stand there demanding an explanation. There's nothing left to say. The next few days pass quietly. True to her word, she starts packing her things, organizing boxes. We avoid each other as much as possible, like ghosts haunting the same space. Every so often, we exchange a few sentences about bills or documents. We keep it civil, but the tension is a constant hum. One evening, my phone rings. It's my attorney. She tells me that Lisa has agreed to the terms we proposed, more or less. The divorce can proceed smoothly, awarding me the house and most assets. The voice on the other end states, she can't really fight it. We have all the evidence we need. I thank her, hang up, and then something surprising happens. I feel no triumph. Just a heavy, dull relief. The next day, the official papers are drawn up. Lisa signs them. And that's that. I expect the final confrontation or meltdown, but it never comes. Maybe she's too defeated or numb. Maybe she's realized there's no point. Eric is gone. My lawyers are pushing. She's lost. On the day she finally leaves, I watch from the living room window as she loads a small suitcase into her car. Rain begins to drizzle. Not a storm, just a light, steady shower. It reminds me of that first day I watched her exit the motel with Eric. The parallel is almost too perfect. She shuts the trunk, looks at the house for a moment, then gets into the driver's seat. I see her slump forward, as if summoning the energy to drive away. Then the car rolls down the driveway, and she's gone. It's a strange emptiness that follows. The house is silent, dusty in places I never noticed before, the fridge half empty. I wake up in the middle of the night sometimes, feeling that presence of her absence. I find myself rummaging through old photo albums, glimpsing the earlier years when we were so much younger, when we thought love was an unbreakable force. It hurts, but also, day by day, I sense a subtle regeneration, like an old wound slowly healing. I handle the final steps of the divorce with mechanical efficiency. The lawyers do most of the heavy lifting. Lisa's attorney tries to negotiate a better settlement, but it's useless. We finalize everything a few weeks later in a sterile conference room, each with our respective legal teams. I watch her sign the last set of papers. Her hand shakes, but she doesn't look at me. Once the papers are signed, my attorney slides them into a folder. That's it. 15 years of marriage, undone by a few strokes of a pen. Lisa glances up once, meeting my eyes. I see guilt, regret, maybe shame, swirling there. She mouths something that might be, "I'm sorry." Then she leaves with her lawyer. I sit there for a while, alone in that room. Outside in the hallway, people hurry back and forth, living their daily routines. Eventually, I stand, gather my coat, and walk out into the bright, chilly sunlight. I don't see Lisa for 2 months after that. During that period, I try to reassemble my life. Work keeps me busy enough. I pick up a few new habits, like going to the gym occasionally, reading more books, visiting the local baseball games when I can. My parents call frequently, worried about me. I reassure them that I'm fine, though fine is a slippery word. Sometimes I feel hollow, but other times I feel an emerging sense of possibility. One day, I'm at the grocery store, minding my own business in the produce aisle, when I spot her across the way. She's picking out apples or something, wearing a simple sweater and jeans. She looks thinner, a bit more tired. My chest tightens. She doesn't see me yet, so I duck behind a shelf, heart pounding. I have this sudden sense of panic. Do I want to talk to her? Avoid her? Something compels me to watch for a moment. She picks up a tomato, presses it gently, sets it aside. She looks the same in so many ways, yet also like a stranger. Then she glances up and sees me. Our eyes lock. There's an awkward second or two, and I almost turn away. But then I roll the cart forward, meeting her halfway. "Hi," she says softly. "Hey," I manage. She tries a small smile, but it doesn't stick. She nods at the lettuce in my cart, maybe searching for something to say. "Eating healthy, I see." I shrug. "Trying to." A silence stretches. Finally, she clears her throat. "How are you?" I consider lying. Then I decide there's no point. "I'm still figuring it out," I say, surprising myself with the honest answer. She nods again, fiddling with the plastic bag in her hand. I understand. Another silence. The background noise of the store flows around us. Footsteps, squeaky cartwheels, murmured conversations. Eventually, she looks down. "Take care, John." I watch her move away, not sure if I feel sadness or relief. Maybe both. That night, I sit on my couch, alone in the house that's now legally mine, reading an old copy of The Great Gatsby. There's a passage about boats beating against the current, borne back ceaselessly into the past. I shut the book, feeling an ache in my chest. I think about the day I saw Lisa at that motel, how I realized so bluntly that everything we had was a lie. But was it all a lie? I try to remember the real good moments. They existed, once. It's been months since the official end, and I'm alone, but I'm not destroyed. Maybe that's the biggest takeaway. I survived. People sometimes talk about heartbreak like it's a death, but there's a life after heartbreak, a new shape that your existence takes. A few weeks later, I'm meeting with a friend at a local bar. An old buddy from high school who heard about the divorce through the grapevine. We share a couple of beers, talk about sports. He tries to steer the conversation to my situation, obviously worried. I brush it off with a half-joking line. "Turns out being cheated on is the fastest way to lose weight." He grimaces, not sure whether to laugh. I wave my hand. "Relax, man. It's black humor. It helps." He manages a chuckle, but I see the pity in his eyes. I can't stand it, so I change the subject to the baseball season. When I get home, the place is dark and quiet as usual. I toss my keys on the counter, open the fridge, and realize I'm out of milk. Another groan. But then I notice an envelope on the floor, pushed through the mail slot, with the familiar letterhead of my attorneys. I open it and read the final notice that everything is settled. Bank accounts, property titles. Lisa ended up with some smaller accounts, but I have the house. The letter concludes with, "If you have further questions, do not hesitate to reach out." I set it down, feeling a wave of emotion that I can't quite name. It's final. Real. And for the first time, I find myself exhaling a long, shaky breath. My heart pounds in my ears. Then I feel an odd sense of calm. I did it, or rather, it's done. A few days later, I look around the house and decide I need a change. So I start making phone calls, hiring a contractor to repaint the living room walls. It's a small step, but it feels symbolic. The color was something Lisa chose years ago, a soft beige that always bored me. I want something new, maybe a calm slate gray. I'm not sure if that's really my style, but at least it's different. The contractor arrives, we discuss pricing. He starts the job the following weekend. As he covers the beige with bold, sweeping strokes of the new color, I watch and realize it's strangely cathartic. The old is gone, the new is here. Sure, it's just paint, but it feels like a fresh page. At work, I focus more intensely, volunteer for new projects, and find that my boss appreciates the initiative. My coworkers notice I'm a bit quieter, but they figure I'm just busy. I guess that's partly true. Lisa's no longer a constant occupant of my mind, though she still appears sometimes in dreams, always with that cold, distant expression that used to slice into me. One day, a coworker invites me to a baseball game at Wrigley. I almost say no, But then I remember how I promised myself I'd try new things. So I go. It's a bright, sunny afternoon. The stand's full of cheering fans. I feel a momentary sadness when I realize I have no one to share the day with on a personal level. No wife to show the pictures, no partner to joke about hot dogs with. But then I relax and let the noise of the crowd envelop me, letting the childlike excitement of a good baseball game wash over me. When the final inning ends and the crowd spills out onto the sidewalk, I feel a sense of contentment. It's small, but it's there, like a little seed that might grow into something bigger if I let it. I wish I could say the heartbreak vanished entirely. But that's not how it works. I still have nights where I remember every detail. Lisa's voice, the cheap motel, Eric's smug face, the look in her eyes when she told me she was not proud. But it doesn't break me. Maybe it used to. Now those memories feel more like old scars that flare up when the weather changes. They throb, but I can keep moving. Weeks pass. My mother gets sick again, and I drive to Detroit to help my parents out for a bit. My father thanks me, tears in his eyes, and I realize that for all the pain, at least I can be here for my family. We share a few quiet moments on the porch, sipping coffee, watching the sun rise over the old neighborhood. He never asks me about Lisa directly, but he puts a hand on my shoulder, a gesture full of unspoken empathy. I pat his hand, letting him know I'm okay. Really, I am. Eventually, I return to Chicago, to the half-painted house and the new routine. The final divorce decree arrives in the mail, a thick packet of official language. I skim it and toss it on the table. It's done. A few days later, I'm rummaging in the garage when I stumble on an old box of wedding memorabilia. Photos, the dried remains of Lisa's bridal bouquet, a pack of old cards from well-wishers. For a moment, a bitter part of me wants to burn it all. But then I realize I don't need that drama. Instead, I flip through a few pictures. Us, looking so goddamn happy, cutting the cake. My younger face, her radiant smile. I feel a pang in my chest, but it's not overwhelming. It's just a memory of what was. I leave the box in the garage. One day, maybe, I'll throw it out or donate the frames. For now, it can sit there, quietly. I wish I had some grand revelation to share, a moral about how infidelity taught me the meaning of life. But real life doesn't tie itself in neat ribbons. Maybe I learned that illusions can be shattered in an instant, but it doesn't mean love isn't real. It just means it wasn't real with her anymore. And maybe that's enough. I stand in the middle of my living room, the walls now painted slate gray, the furniture rearranged, the old coffee table replaced with a sleeker one, the couch angled to catch more of the sunlight from the window. I close my eyes for a moment, take a deep breath. And I think, I survived. She destroyed something in me, but in doing so, she also set me free. Now, there's space for something else, something new, something stronger. With that thought, I let out a long breath, opened my eyes, and watched the late afternoon sun stretch across the floor, painting everything in warm gold. It's a moment of quiet, solitary peace. And for now, that's all I need.